Have you ever watched a movie and thought, I know where that was shot? Or maybe it's been nagging at you that some location in a movie seems familiar, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Well, welcome to On Location, the program that aims to find out who, where, when, and how. In this program, I'm going to take you back to some of the locations used by 3 different films, but all with the same title, The 39 Steps. The 1935 version, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, the 1959 version, starring Kenneth More, and finally the 1978 version, directed by Don Sharp, which, for some reason, I seem to remember rather well. I'll also be uncovering some of the stories behind the making of these films, and maybe unraveling some of the movie-making mysteries along the way. So let's begin our journey. I'm standing here behind the Royal Albert Hall on what are known as the South Steps, and it's here that some of the early scenes from the 1978 version were shot. This version is set in 1914, just before the First World War, and I play a character called Richard Hannay, who through no fault of his own finds himself caught up in murder, intrigue, and all kinds of mayhem.
Can't you get it into your head that Scudder was onto something big? So big it involves a war between this country and Germany.
Behind me is Albert Court. In the film, this is where I live, and one of my neighbours is Colonel Scudder, played in the film by Sir John Mills. One night, Scudder bursts into my room to inform me of a plot to murder a foreign minister.
My information convinces me that on the 15th of this month, an attempt will be made to assassinate Karolides.
The Greek premier?
Yes, but as long as he can hold the Balkans together, a major war can at least be delayed until Britain and France are a great deal better prepared than they are at present. My research is all in here, Mr. Hannay. I need time to collate it. Time and a safe place in which to work.
In the scene that you're about to see, the South Steps are featured. Oh, yes, Johnny Mills is too.
Morning.
Having just read of Lord Harkness's death, here we see Scudder racing off to inform the powers that be of the danger to come. As you can imagine, a period film requires the continuity to be spot on, which means hiding all signs of the 21st century.
Morning, Mr. Scudder. Didn't recognise you for a minute.
The South Steps are featured once more when Scudder is trying to escape the clutches of the Prussian agents who are attempting to silence him. Because this area has period buildings all around, it would have required very little of what is known in the trade as set dressing. So 1978 can be substituted for 1914. This helps to keep production costs down. In fact, all we had to do on our version in 1978 was cover up the yellow lines. Taxi! The London Palladium, please. Alfred Hitchcock made the first version of 39 Steps in 1935. Hitch hated working on location. Problems with lighting, sound, not to mention the great British weather. So the whole film was to be shot in Shepherd's Bush and Lime Grove. However, Hitch did have to film here at the London Palladium and in Scotland. In the 1935 version, there's a character called Mr. Memory, whom Hitchcock apparently based on a real-life music hall character called Datus. The same character crops up again in the Kenneth More version, but not, of course, in the original Buchan novel. He's pure Hitchcock.
Ladies and gentlemen, ask him your questions, and he will answer you fully and freely. Mr. Memory. I also add, ladies and gentlemen, before retiring, that Mr. Memory has left his brain to the British Museum.
A question, please. Ladies first.
Where's my old man been since last Saturday?
On the booze, in Quam, out with his bit.
A serious question, please.
What won the Derby in 1921?
Mr. Jack Jones, humorist, with Steve Donegal, won a length at the odds of 6-1. Second and third, Craig and Aaron and Lemonora. Am I right, sir?
Right.
The action now switches to Scotland, as Hannay flees both the law and secret agents. In the spring of 1935, Hitchcock sent a second unit to Edinburgh with director Penrose Tennyson, one of Hitchcock's up-and-coming assistants. Actually, it's debatable whether Hitchcock even went to Scotland. One of Edinburgh's most famous landmarks becomes the setting for Hannay's escape from the law in two versions. It's the mighty Forth Rail Bridge. This next scene is from the Hitchcock version. Here we see Hannay portrayed for the first time by Robert Donat.
Height, about 5'10", small moustache. Last seen wearing a dark suit, but he may have obtained a change of clothing.
Here in South Queensferry is the very spot Hitchcock used 66 years ago, complete with the same tree in the foreground. Hitch had a particular fondness for using trains in his movies, such as North by Northwest and Strangers on a Train, especially when the lead character was on the run from the police. The bridge itself took 7 years to build and, rather unfortunately, killed 57 men in the process. However, this site is very accessible to anyone who may want to experience a bit of cinema's glorious past. In this 1959 version, directed by Ralph Thomas, Hannay was played by Kenneth More, once again making his escape on the Forth Bridge. I'm glad to say that the bridge that I had to hang underneath was somewhat smaller than that. Kenneth More, of course, typified the English gentleman in such films as Northwest Frontier and Battle of Britain. And the scenes you're about to see were also shot in South Queensferry Harbour. Able to slip into dramatic or comic roles equally, Kenneth More, known for playing the stiff upper lip officer type, could turn his hand to playing a fugitive from justice with ease. "41 years later, this area looks remarkably unchanged. There's the same cobbled ramp. The only thing that's different is the colour of the railings and the house Moore runs past. This area is just down the road from where Hitchcock filmed his Forth Bridge scene. Sharp-eyed viewers may have noticed that although character Hannay is supposed to be in Fife, this is in fact the Edinburgh side. Still in Scotland, the sleepy little village of Durisdeer features briefly in the 1978 version, when I raced to Strathallan post office, along with actress Karen Detrice, to try and get my hands on Scudder's notebook, which, of course, contains the all-important mystery to the 39 steps. Karen, incidentally, found international fame at the age of 8, playing Jane Banks in Mary Poppins. Once again, this is another location untouched by time and could easily pass for a village set in 1914. The church is still there, as are all the surrounding houses. Although there's no post office, there is a post box, but you'd better get the last collection. The great thing about film is that as well as being a source of entertainment, it acts as a moving record of our history. Welcome to the movie trivia section. This is for all you film buffs. Robert Donat starred in the original Goodbye Mr. Chips in 1939. His last film was The Inn of the Sixth Happiness, starring opposite Ingrid Bergman, released in 1958. Some of Hitchcock's Scottish Highland scenes were shot at London's Lime Grove Studios, complete with burbling brooks and tame sheep. Hitch allegedly mislaid the keys to the handcuffs binding Robert Donat and Madeleine Carroll together during their escape scene, possibly for greater realism. I think if I'd been Robert Donat, I wouldn't have complained. Don Sharp, director of the 1978 version, had also directed Hammer horror films such as The Kiss of the Vampire and Rasputin the Mad Monk. The 1978 version is the only one not to use the Forth Bridge as the setting for Hannay's escape, which is just as well, as I had to spend about 8 minutes dangling underneath it. All three versions of the 39 steps bring us back to London for the final showdown. Here at the London Palladium, Hitchcock sets the scene. Pamela, played by Madeleine Carroll, is searching for Hannay, who's come back to the theatre to see Mr. Memory, hoping to find the secret of, guess what, the 39 steps.
I've got to see Miss George, I'm just leaving, so can I go through, please?
No, very good.
Kenneth More's Hannay goes to the Palace Theatre in search of some answers.
How many children you can expect?
Yeah, borrow this, please.
Know whether your Uncle George will remember you in his will. For the answers to questions such as...
I've got it.
You will have to go to the port.
Of course, there's nothing missing. But there would be if they got Mr. Memory out of the country. All the information they want is in his head.
Sporting, scientific, geographical, political, and historical.
Now, you see, Fish,
who's ready?
all the facts and figures and details of Boomerang are borrowed, memorized by him, and then put back before they're missed.
Something a little more energetic was planned for me, but more of that in a moment. I'm standing here in a location which everybody will recognize, Parliament Square, Westminster. Westminster's featured in numerous films, from political thrillers such as Defense of the Realm to costume dramas. And it was here on this spot that a crowd of onlookers, or rubberneckers as we'd call them today, gathered to gaze at something happening on the face of Big Ben.
Give me a hand. Don't be bloody stupid! Here, get a line. Tie that end to the post.
Right.
I'm laying a rope to you. And put your foot through the loop. A little to the left. That's it.
Oh, with all that, I've forgotten now. What are the 39 steps?